The Perfect Neighbor is a documentary released in 2025, directed by Geeta Gandbhir. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in January before becoming available to stream on Netflix on October 17, 2025. The film runs about 96 to 97 minutes. The film tells a true and tragic story that took place in Ocala, Florida, in 2023. The central event is the killing of Ajike Owens, a black mother of 4, by her neighbor Susan Lorincz, a white woman. But the documentary is not just about that moment. It goes backward and shows how small conflicts between Susan and AJ's family escalated gradually over time. Susan repeatedly called the police about the children in the neighborhood, complaining about noise, trespassing, and other disturbances. These calls and conflicts build tension, and the film shows how these tensions, unchecked, led to tragedy. On June 2, 2023, after confrontations and complaints, Susan shot AJ through a locked door, killing her. Susan attempted to defend her action using Florida's Stand Your Ground law, claiming she had a right to act in self-defense. She was later convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 25 years in prison. The documentary doesn't rely much on interviews or narration. Instead, it is largely constructed from police body camera footage, 911 calls, interrogation recordings, and surveillance video. This choice forces viewers to watch events unfold in a raw, direct way, without a narrator telling you how to feel. Strengths and what works. Powerful use of footage. The film's biggest strength lies in how it stitches together raw footage, body cams, 911 calls, police reports, to build its narrative. Because there is little added commentary, viewers feel like direct witnesses. A microcosm of larger issues. Though the story is about one neighborhood and 2 people, the film raises big questions: race, privilege, gun laws, policing, and how small conflicts can spiral out of control. No sensationalism. The film resists dramatizing or exaggerating things. It lets the real events speak for themselves. Even though what we see is painful, the restraint makes it more haunting. Critical reception. Critics have praised the film. On Metacritic, it holds a high score of 87, meaning universal acclaim. On Rotten Tomatoes, it is also very well reviewed, 100% on the tomato meter as of the time of writing. Reviewers describe it as strikingly effective, harrowing, and a revolutionary doc. Emotional toll. Because there's so little distance between the viewer and the events, this documentary is emotionally heavy. Watching footage of real suffering, especially involving children, is painful. Some viewers may find it overwhelming. No direct voices, few talking heads. The director chose not to include many interviews or commentary. This is bold, but it also means some context or personal reflections are missing. We never really hear Susan or AJ telling their own full stories. Limited exploration of why. While the film does show how tensions escalated, some viewers may wish for deeper psychological or sociological explanations. Why did Susan act as she did, beyond her repeated complaints? Why weren't earlier interventions more effective? The film hints at these but doesn't fully explore them. Risk of one-sided feeling. Because the documentary frames Susan's actions and complaints as harassment escalating to violence, some viewers might feel the film presents her as a villain without really trying to understand her perspective. That said, many critics see this as justified given the facts and evidence. Escalation of conflict. One small disagreement, kids playing, property boundaries, noise, becomes something much larger when people refuse to back down. The film shows how persistent resentment and grievance can build, step by step, until violence erupts. Race and privilege. The racial dynamics are central. AJ and her children were black, Susan was white. The documentary lets the evidence show how assumptions, perceived authority, and fear intersect with race. Gun laws and Stand Your Ground. Florida's Stand Your Ground laws allow someone to use lethal force in self-defense without having to retreat first. Susan's defense leaned on this law, raising debates about how the law is applied, especially when racial and power dynamics are involved. The film asks whether such laws create danger by giving too much latitude for deadly violence. Role of policing and institutions. In many of the early incidents, authorities responded to Susan's calls but did not stop the deepening tension. The film suggests institutional failure in preventing tragedy. Witnessing versus telling. Because the documentary mostly shows recorded footage instead of narration, it places audiences in the role of active viewers, watching and judging the events, rather than being guided. The Perfect Neighbor is a powerful, painful, necessary documentary. It does not offer easy answers. It does not sugarcoat the events. But it does something more important. It forces us to look, to pay attention, and to feel the consequences of unchecked anger, assumptions, and inequalities. If you like true crime documentaries, this one is not light entertainment. It is demanding. But its raw honesty, moral clarity, and immersive storytelling make it one of the more unforgettable documentaries in recent years. I would rate it as very strong, 4 out of 5 stars. For most viewers, its impact will linger after the credits roll.